from WNYT, Albany, in HD. This is Forum 13.
Good morning, I'm Phil Bailey. Thanks so much for joining us on Forum 13. The experiences most of us enjoy as children are unwittingly denied some children in the capital region. Think of the average family outing or the average family dinner. There are actually children here that just don't get to enjoy that. We're joined by Bill Marszalek, who is Executive Director, and Lori Nadeau, who is homefinder. They're both with Northern Rivers Family of Services. They are, that is the parent group for Parsons Child and Family Center and Northeast Parent and Child Society. Is that a fair statement, that there are a lot of children in the capital region who just don't have parents to live with?
Yeah, I mean, what happens for a lot of the children is, I mean, we see the things that happen on the news, you know, where children have to be removed from a parent's care for abuse, neglect, or, you know, there are situations where maybe a parent gets really, really sick and they just don't have family. There's no family around to care for those children, and they need to come into the care of the county or the state. And we need homes to be able to serve those children, and that's what we're here to talk about, you know, is really our campaign about giving hope a home, finding homes for those children so they have hope for a better future, and just expanding. The more homes we have for our children, the better we have of matching children up with homes that kind of meet their needs.
Yeah. So before we talk more about your campaign, let's set the foundation. So where are these children living now?
Right now, they're at home. They're home with their families. And as Bill was mentioning, sometimes things happen with families, and kids, unfortunately, have to be removed and come into the foster care system where someone else can provide for them. So when these children are removed, that's when they come into foster care.
All right. Are there are there still orphanages in the sense that we think of them historically?
No, that really doesn't. I mean, there are residential type programs that still exist out there, but those generally are for children with more behaviors that can't, you know, our goal is always to help a child stay at the lowest level of care. We want children to, you know, live in a family. You know, that's the goal, is if you're placing them in residentials, we want them to experience, you know, the family, because our goal is really about permanency for children, that if they come into our care, we want them to be with us a short amount of time as possible. Yeah. So we work with them, we work with their families, we work with whoever else we have to work with, hopefully getting them back to their families as soon as possible.
So you're looking for foster parents who can give these children a place to call home?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you also looking for adoptive parents?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so how often does a foster parent lead to the adoption of a child?
I would say in Northern Rivers families, covering both Parsons and Northeast, we do roughly 25 to 30 adoptions a year. And some of those are not planned adoptions. It's not as if a lot of our families will take children in with the understanding that we're working to get those kids back home. Things come up that the children can't return home, and the opportunity comes to adopt them. And a lot of our families, well, the first thing they'll say is, I'm going to adopt those children. You know, we ask them first, you know, if they want to be the families for them.
And there are, go ahead.
And there's already a lot of children in New York State that are freed for adoption and waiting for homes too. I think that's always a kind of a good thing to mention too, that there are a lot of kids out there.
There are also foster families who just like doing that, the foster parenting. There are some, am I wrong? There are some foster parents who have actually fostered a number of children.
I have one family in particular that's been fostering for over 40 years, and they've never adopted a child. That's just what they do. They help children transition to their next kind of stage, whatever that might be, whatever permanency would be, whether returning home or independent living, adoption. They're just there to kind of support the child through that.
Any idea how many kids they've fostered?
Oh, I could only begin to imagine. Quite a few.
A family like that could have fostered 50, 60 you know, children over all of those years. You know, and the other thing that we do as well too is we provide respite care. Respite care, you know, a lot of our foster homes, they need breaks from the children for a weekend, or we also provide respite care for children that are, you know, not in care yet. You know, we do have contracts, we do some of those things as well too, because it helps prevent those children from coming into care if the family just has a break. So we also look for, there are families who are the long-term foster families, there are adoptive families, there are families who we call just kind of short-term temporary respite homes that, you know, you could just be taking a child in from, say, Friday night to Monday afternoon, you know, and it helps give that family that break.
There can be a very moving moment in this process when somebody's considering fostering or adoption. They're shown the blue books?
Yes.
What are the blue books?
So the Blue Book is what we call the online registry, the photo registry of kids that are freed for adoption and kind of waiting for homes. It's shocking to go on and look at the registry and really look at these kids and see how many are there, and just to think about the number of kids that aren't in the Blue Book and that are freed and waiting for homes but haven't been photo listed yet. So there's an immense number of kids here in New York.
It really is something when these potential foster adoption adoptive parents, so when they look through the blue books, right? Because it's like every child has a story, and you can put a face to it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there are this many children who just need something as simple as a home. Simple in that most of us are blessed and we grew up in a supportive home.
And every kid and every situation is so different. And I always find it to be so kind of, I don't want to say magical, but it's a little magical and inspiring when we see these situations where we see, you know, kids with these really kind of specific set of needs or specific strengths or something really unique about them find a home that's kind of the pea that goes in their pod, so to say, that makes them such a good match. And we see these kids grow and learn. It's pretty awesome.
You mentioned some of the challenges some of these children face. Some have disabilities.
So all kids in foster care have special needs. Just by nature of having come into the foster care system, they've been through some traumatic stuff. So sometimes it looks like emotional struggles, sometimes it looks like behavioral struggles, sometimes it could be developmental, it could be medical. So again, each child is really unique, but I would say that all kids in foster care really have a special kind of unique need, just again by nature of being away from their
Coming
families.
into foster care is a traumatic event unto itself, no matter what else has happened, you know. So that's why when we talk about matching, you know, children with homes and homes with children, you know, really we try to, you know, when we certify homes, we get to know homes and we do our home studies with our homes, we really try to get to know a lot about them so that when we do place a child with them, we're trying to match a child up that's going to match. Every home is different. Neither is good nor bad nor any, you know, so we try to match them up, you know, with a child that's going to meet their needs. So say a family really wants to foster a child who's 4 years old, you know, we try not to go for that 16-year-old boy, you know. We try to keep them within, you know, where they feel comfortable, because we want it to be successful, because we don't want to see children moving any more homes than they need to. The best thing to do is keep them in a good, safe, loving home, work with them on the permanency that's going on that brought them to us, and get them to where they can have a good permanent life.
Many of these children in the Blue Book never get adopted. They reach adulthood without ever having, getting to experience that family.
I don't know numbers off the top of my head, but there are quite a few. There are quite a few. I mean, the Blue Book are those children who, as Lori was saying, the Blue Book are those children who have kind of been out there for a while. You know, that they're struggling finding that permanent place. Children, you know, they're kind of it's a continuum of how they go through the social services system before they become adoptive children. So a lot of the children that become adoptive children within our system, it's just a natural, once the judge says, hey, we're freeing these children for adoption, the family says, we're going to adopt them, we begin the process, and usually within a number of months, those children are adopted, and that's their forever family.
So, Lori, what do you do as a home finder?
Oh, so I love I get to wear a lot of different hats, which is kind of neat. So I am the one that gets to go out and find the new potential foster parents. I train them, and as part of training, there's some preparation, you know, really understanding where the kids are coming from, what to expect, but it's also half, I would say, of it is what we call mutual assessment. So looking at together whether or not fostering is right for a family, or what their strengths might be, or what their potential needs might be. So I find them, I certify them, I maintain them. Paperwork, you know, it's New York State and the wild world of human services, so we've got some paperwork stuff, and then I get to train and support them afterwards. So a big part of my role is really making sure foster parents feel supported and are getting the training and the experience that help them really be the best foster parents they can.
We'll get back to that support because it's such an important component. But okay, so you have a current campaign going on, Give Hope Home. You're hoping to find more foster and adoptive parents?
Yes. I mean, the goal, you can never have too many foster homes. I've been doing this for about 15 years now, running foster care programs, and I've never sat back and said, geez, we have more than enough homes right now, we don't need any more homes, don't take any more calls. I mean, we've always, because when you think about the matching process, the more options we have for children to go into homes, because we do emergency placements as well too. So we may get a call late in the evening, could be 11 o'clock on a Friday night, and we get a call that says we have 3 children that we have to place. We want to have lots of options. We want to have lots of options to place these children, because we may not know a lot about the children, so we want to be able to connect them with a family that can best understand them. The more homes we have, the better. And you know, this campaign really, it's about awareness. We want people to really be aware of what foster care is. It's going on in your communities. There may be a home just down the street from you that's a foster home and you don't even know it. These children are going to our schools. You know, so we really want to bring awareness to it, and we want, if you're just thinking about being a foster parent, you're like, I don't know if this is for me, feel free to give us a call, you know, because well, we talk lots of people through the process.
Do they have to be experienced parents?
No. We've had lots of parents who have never had children. Sometimes that's not a bad thing, you know, because, you know, some parents, you know, you raise your own children and say, it worked for my children, it's going to work for these children. It doesn't always work that way. You know, they're different children. They've had different experiences in life, and, you know, good criteria for a foster parent is flexibility, patience and flexibility.
And Roy, you were talking about support.
Yeah.
For the adoptive family and for the children. So there is a certification course, right? Which almost sounds too. I mean, you learn a lot, right? It's sort of how to be a parent.
Yeah, I guess.
And how to be a parent to a foster adoptive child, which can be a little different, right?
Yes.
They do come with some of their own challenges.
So a big focus is really understanding the, you know, the losses and the experience, the things that the kids have potentially experienced, and what they're going to need, the support they're going to need going forward, and helping to identify what their unique needs are, how to meet those needs. So training is really important in that way to help prepare a family. And the training looks the same whether you are a family that provides respite care, so doing that part-time, like overnight or weekend, or if you are a foster family that just wants to foster, or if you're a foster family that maybe wants to adopt. So it all kind of looks the same. We prepare you, and then each family, we tailor it a little bit. We have different conversations based on what they're thinking about what they might like to do.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I'm an adoptive parent, and I found these classes with Parsons amazing. And I am still amazed at how accurate the role playing and the possible scenarios were. I mean, I use this stuff that I learned in the classroom. These very situations come up because, as you say, there are things that, you know, children do have, you know, they wonder how you know, why it happened this way, and they can be received one way or another by the public, even by family members. You know, questions will come, yeah, but they're not your real children. Yeah, but they are my real children. And things like that. And I really found it was tremendous preparation.
And fostering is really, it's a never-ending process, the learning of being a foster parent and growing, because you can never say, I know everything about being a foster parent. You know, because you're always going to get that kid that comes into you that, you know, will challenge you. You know, these children are hurting. And
it's like being any other parent.
Yes. And
when still there for the first perfect one.
Exactly.
And we always talk about, you know, especially the we call it pre-service training in the beginning, being kind of like the foundation to building a house. You know, here's the basics, here's kind of the foundation of everything, and as time goes on, to get in-service training and experience that builds the rest of it.
So how can viewers find out more about the Give Hope a Home campaign and Northern Rivers Family of Services?
Well, we have a website, givehopeahomeny.org. That's one place they can go to. We have a Facebook page. If you just look up Give Hope a Home. We also have a 1-844 number, because I guess they ran out of 1-800 numbers. So we have a 1-844-855-CARE. Right? See, I was good about that, wasn't I? Really good. So that's a number and that number, it's kind of like our, our hotline number, for foster care, that you can call that number if you have questions about being a foster parent. It'll get you routed, because we have lots of offices through Northern Rivers, through our Parsons and Northeast. So we have lots of different offices. They'll route you to the office that's closest to you and connect you up with the recruiter that's closest to you, because Lori is one of our 6 recruiters, that are out there doing this work every day, trying to find homes and certify homes and support our homes.
All right, we're going to make it as easy as possible for you to get in touch with Northern Rivers Family Services. We will put their link on our website at WNYT.com. Bill Marszalek and Lori Nadeau, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and we will be back on Forum 13.